working 80 hours a week doesn't make you ambitious. It usually just means you haven't learned the right game yet. If you're in your 30s, 40s, even 50s, and your entire plan is work more, let me talk to you like a slightly annoyed but caring father for a few minutes. There is a ceiling on how many hours you can work. There is no ceiling on how hard your assets can work. The people you call rich are not rich because they found a way to work 160 hours a week. They're rich because they own things that make money, whether they're at their desk, on a walk, or asleep. If your answer to every financial problem is grind harder, you're playing the wrong game. Before we talk about what you can change, we need to admit something most hustle gurus never mention. A huge part of your life was decided before you were born. I call it the ovarian lottery. Imagine a genie speaks to you before birth. I'm going to toss 8 billion balls into a barrel. One ball is you. You don't know which one you'll get, rich or poor, healthy or sick, born in the U.S. or in a war zone, brilliant parents or none at all. But you do get to choose what kind of society and economic system you're born into. That lottery, where, when, and to whom you're born, is the single biggest economic event of your life. You didn't earn it. You didn't deserve it. You just drew a ticket. Now, if you're watching this on a phone with internet in a reasonably safe place, you have already won more than you think. The correct response to winning the ovarian lottery is not to spend your one life chained to an 80-hour work week trying to prove something. The correct response is to use your position to buy pieces of the system shares of productive businesses so that the system works for you even when you're not on the clock. There's a line people quote from me all the time. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That's not meant to sound clever. It's a design rule. There are only two basic ways to live. One is the linear life. You earn only when you're awake and working. When you stop, the income stops. This is what grind culture glorifies, packing more and more hours into the day. The other is the asset T-based life. You still work, but your real engine is ownership. You own slices of businesses, funds, properties, or systems that keep generating cash while you're doing something else. Your job is not just to earn more salary. It's to steadily convert salary into assets that work harder than you do. If you're honest, ask yourself a simple question. If I took a 2-week nap, would any money still come in? If the answer is no, you're still on the wrong side of the equation. Hustle culture tells you to worship your input hours and effort. Wealth is about worshiping your output, what your capital produces while you're not there. The waiter who picks up an extra weekend shift might add a little income this month. The person who spent the last decade buying pieces of great businesses is getting paid every weekend, whether they're serving tables or sitting at home. Now let me give you an idea that completely offends the hustle mindset. My 20-slot lifetime investment card. I've said for years, if you had a punch card with only 20 holes in it, and every investment you made in your entire life had to punch one of those holes, you would think very carefully about each decision. And if you did that, you'd get very rich, not 20 investments a year, 20 in a lifetime. That's the opposite of hustle. You're not spraying your money across every shiny opportunity. You're patiently waiting for a few situations you understand deeply and are willing to hold for a very long time. Most people treat investing like scrolling through social media, new idea every week, buy on Monday, sell on Friday, repeat. That's hustle mentality invading your portfolio. All it really does is interrupt compounding. If every investment has to punch one of only 20 slots, you'll say no to 99% of distractions. You'll study more, move slower, and size bigger when you finally act. Wealth usually comes from a handful of excellent decisions held through boring years, not from 0 tiny hustles. So what should you actually do if you're stuck in grind mode right now? First, keep working, but stop worshiping hours. Your goal is not to brag that you're working 80 hours a week. Your goal is to be the person who can deliver high-value output in normal hours. Be reliable, be sharp, be the one your boss doesn't want to lose. But understand that past a certain point, extra hours give you less money and worse judgment. You don't get a medal for burnout. Second, use your job as a capital engine, not your whole identity. A job is a tool to generate cash you can redirect into ownership. Live below your means. That's not glamorous, but it's the only way to consistently have surplus capital. Hustle culture wants you to convert your overtime into status symbols, cars, gadgets, lifestyle flexes. You're going to do something more intelligent, quietly accumulate buying power, and then buy assets. Third, start buying assets that will work while you sleep. Practically, that means regularly purchasing broad, low-cost index funds or shares of strong businesses you truly understand and reinvesting the cash they throw off. You don't need to turn into a full-time analyst. For most people, a low-cost S&P 500 index fund held for decades, is more than enough foundation. The key is consistency. Get money out of the hours for dollars loop and into vehicles where every dollar you invest recruits more dollars over time. Fourth, apply the 20-slot discipline beyond money. Act as if you only get 20 major bets in your whole life: jobs, businesses, partners, skills. If you had to punch your card every time you start a new business or commit to a major project, you'd stop chasing every fad. You'd think, is this really worth one of my 20? You'd pick a few things and go deep instead of trying to do everything and staying shallow at all of them. Finally, remember the ovarian lottery when you design your life. If you had been born in a much harder situation, poorer country, weaker health, no safety net, what strategy would still give you dignity and a shot at wealth? It wouldn't be work yourself into the ground and hope. It would be learn useful skills, live cheap. Slowly buy pieces of productive systems and let time and compounding carry you further than brute force ever could. That plan works even when luck is against you. When luck is on your side, it works astonishingly well. So here's the warning, spoken gently but firmly. If you think the path to freedom is simply work more hours, you will wake up one day exhausted, resentful, and still dependent on your next paycheck. If instead you use your reasonable 40, 50 hours a week to fund ownership of businesses, fund systems, you will reach a point where your assets are doing more work than you are. That's not laziness. That's the whole point of the game. Stop trying to win by running faster on someone else's treadmill. Start using your effort to step off the treadmill and into ownership. Work hard, yes, but work hard at building a life where you don't have to.